thought it would be important to put together a video where I talk about the essentials of the operation of a typical medical practice when it comes to especially uh, appointment setting, communication flow, and general operations. What you're seeing in front of you is just a typical dashboard where we can see, and I'm going to use my pen here, see opportunities, we can see a pipeline value, we can see a conversion rate, we see where the opportunities are in the funnel, we can see the stages of distribution that they have. And then we can also see if we kind of look down in the, the chamber here of what I would consider the next sort of realistic approach of how to manage this stuff as we see all of the different lead sources that are coming in. So we can see, and this is a much more matured account. We can see all of the different types of offer strategies that are in the market, all the different places: Facebook, Instagram, email marketing, chat widget. We've got so many different places to get leads from. But what we really want to look at, I'm going to go to another section here. We're going to keep it down to a month. We're going to go to a section of a typical client. We're going to look at something that's more condensed and some average spend. So let's take a look at the playing field about what's going on in this particular client's snapshot. So we can see they're running about 10 different types of offers. Now, the offers are related to the different types of lead forms and the service structure, whether it's in Google or it's in Facebook. We have about, in the last 30 days, about 350 leads. And the leads are coming through gift certificate consultations, so free gift certificate that's on the website, Botox, the regular contact us, which are typically just organic leads, along with a main page. We've got a Facebook lead form. We've got a hydrofacial ad. We've got an offer on the home page, just a general $100 off. We've got laser hair removal, Facebook and Google running, and we've got some main services pages. So we've got, a mix of different offers that are throughout the website based off of either organic traffic that's naturally coming through, Google ads, Facebook, and of course, we've always got that sort of mix of traffic that may come that's just generated from general promotions in the market, whether that's an email marketing blast or a campaign that's a text based, a mailing. All these things are sort of part of it. But in reality, a lot of just in this particular case, the ads from Facebook and Instagram and Google are driving all this traffic. And we can see the average spend here, so we can see an idea of what the spends are. We can again see the my Google My Business interactions. See a lot of organic traffic coming through just because of the location. And then we can even go and take a look at the what I would say the most important thing, because this is where a lot of the traffic comes in this business, especially this particular industry is supported by this. But if we go into reporting, we're going to take a look at the Facebook ads. So we can see obviously a tremendous amount of clicks and a tremendous amount of leads and a pretty low cost per lead, $50 a lead, basically. So we add up the numbers, we look at the cost of about $2,500 in Facebook. And if we go back to that same page, we saw about roughly the same thing, about $2,500 was spent in Google. And that drove a preponderance of leads. As we can see, a majority of these leads, besides I would say, sort of the simple ones that came through from um, organic traffic, which you really have to sort of assume some of that is bleed through on the ads. But in general, if we go back here and we look at the the last 30 days worth of leads, you kind of get the idea that other than we take the 50 out from the homepage, let's just say those are from the organic traffic, and maybe a part of these contacts us. eh, Roughly about 250 of these leads are coming from the ad spend, and so that if you do the math, it's 250, and we had 2,500 in spend in Google Ads and $2,500 in spend. So 250 leads for their business generated from about $5,000 of ad spend. So that's in general about 20 bucks a lead, right? So I think you can kind of do the math here, which is that um, when you start to do sort of the ramifications of running a really good program, uh, you really look at, on average, if you just take an average client, their lead costs are around that $20 per lead. And that obviously not all these leads turn into sales, but even if it's one out of five, that's a 20% closure rate, which is really low. You're still looking at an acquisition cost of about 100 bucks. So these are the real raw numbers of a typical account. Right? I'm not showing you anything different that's going to be seen on anything else, but this is the general numbers we see. So that's just the sort of reporting and attributes of this system. You can see, obviously, we have in here we have call reporting, so you can see, every roughly almost every half an hour there's a phone call coming through, and of course all these calls are recorded, and you can do break fix and help people with closing on that. But in the end of the day, reporting, there's agent reporting by person who's picking up the phone. There's obviously appointment reporting. But when we get into sort of the whole reporting matrix, a lot of that is looking through these numbers, and as one third of this system. When you look at the dashboard, we've got our leads, we've got our reporting, we've got our numbers. How much does it cost to get a client? So you can see this at any point in time. It's very good to see this in real time, especially if it's even a breakdown of just, let's say, um, this week, right? We want to see what happened this week. We said 35 leads. We can see there's a spend. I'm not sure if this actually corrected that, but uh, let's see if we can get the spends in here over a week. All right, there we go. So I'm going to put it down to this week, and we're going to take a look at the reporting, and we're going to go into a week. Same thing, last week, and we can see what happened in the week, right? So we can see that we had about, yeah, here's 18 leads in a week. So we know in this particular case that in a week with about roughly, it's like about $1,500. So again, it's keeping along that same number, uh, depending on what you value as the lead source. But it depending on the type of lead, and of course, with laser hair removal, um, and different types of services like that. You're always going to get these types of different variables, but you end up with that same number. You can see all the leads that came through, what their phone numbers were, who they were. So, but let's look at this at a bigger aspect. Let's look at this as a calendaring function. So here's all the leads that have booked on the calendar, right? So we can see a very busy Wednesday today, December 1st. So this looks like about 10 appointments. So how are these getting onto the calendar? Well, this functioning of this system really works well when you start to think about clearing out clutter and operation flow. So we went through the reporting to understand the cost per acquisition. Now we can go into seeing, how those clients got there. and the operation flow. So the thing we're going to look at next is this sort of the next pane of glass, which is the opportunity plane. So now we can see here are the people who came through the leads that were run on Facebook. We can see this person came in. We can see their information. We can see any notes. You can see the Botox order form. We can even see where they came in. So they came in off an ad. They came into this landing page from Facebook, and they claim their discount, right? So we know that the ad is running in Facebook, driving them to a landing page. They're coming into this opportunity plane, and they're then being asked to move into a consult scheduled. So we can see we have a whole bunch of consults scheduled this week, and we can also again look at the person's information. Any of these people will have information about where they came from. Again, this one is Kybella. We can see came in. Again, you all you have to do is click on this claim discount information right here again, and this will literally take you to the scheduling app. So the strategy has always been to bring people from a new lead automatically because they get a subset of automations to ask them once they put their information in. And you can see the automations that are behind this. We can see the campaigns that are set up behind each one of these. So if we see the claim here, we see that once they've made the claim, they get an SMS, an email, and they're always being asked to book an appointment. Hey, you're just $100 away from getting a promotion. Book your appointment. Call or book. Call or book. So we're sending reminders to have them book themselves. And they can call. So not only is this automation bringing them through the funneling system, it's creating adhesion with the client. And that's the key thing we want. So in this second sort of piece of three again, the first one we did was reporting and understanding cost per acquisition and really looking at ad spend and lead flow. Now we're looking at the opportunity flow and the follow-up mechanisms that are built into the system so that you're able to get traction on people coming through as new leads. Now, certainly, you can manually move these over as you call them, but automation will take care of this. So we see 20 to 30% of the people just get booked automatically. Right? They come through, they pick a time, or they get through the automation sequences. They get asked to bring it. Now, another column you see here is not yet ready. So these people have been called, and they are in some framework uh, delayed, or they need to take time to make a decision, or whatever it might be. They're going to come in later. But the hot lead column is the thing that we really need to talk about, which is that there's a lot of people who are hot. And the reason why they're hot is that they've said yes, but they haven't booked yet, but they're in some sort of decision making phase. And a lot of that is because the system not only calculates the opportunity strategy by understanding where the lead is, each column has its own set of sequences built behind it to continue the dialogue. But you've got, in any case, you typically have, if you see this client, we see Aisha, we see these little buttons here, and that leads us to the conversation plane. So we can see that there are conversations going on as well within the tool. So we've got a communication layer here. So this is the third layer of this system. So we went through the operations side, the reporting side. Now we're talking about the communications layer. So now we have conversation starts. So here's the first set of sequences. Hey, thanks for claiming. Book your time, and then we get a text message back. Hi, I was trying to see your prices on the website, but I could not find any for facials. Okay. So now we can start to type, email, or Facebook message them right through this platform. So now that we can create a communication line, we can keep the dialogue started or continued. Now we can also even call them directly through the platform. Although I see most of this business being done in text these days, because obviously everybody uses text. So if you have a history of every client's dialogue, then you can use this as a customer relationship management tool for leads. And that's where it all becomes interesting. Because now we've got a tool that is not only giving you the day to day acquisition costs and ad spends, so you know where the money is going when you start spending money on ad sets, but it also is giving you the operational flow that we talked about before with having a dashboard to see where the opportunities are so no customer ever gets lost. When they come through as a lead, you can always know exactly where they are. But we also can communicate to them directly through this system. And we can even close them through the system. So it's also a payment gateway. You could literally create payment or prepayment through this gateway. So when you look at the big numbers, and you look at larger clients, let's just take a bigger scope of leads. When you start to see numbers like this, so here's a large Canadian customer of ours with 10 different locations running thousands and thousands of dollars a day in ad spend, maybe $4,000 a day. And we're seeing the amount of numbers that are being driven. You can understand that when it comes to the opportunity plane, now you've got multiple locations, multiple people having conversations. You can see in this particular case, we have through 10 locations, we've got almost 20 different people in conversations. Again, I'm just taking a small pipeline view of a 312 leads that are consult scheduled. Here's a bunch of new leads that are still in play. So this becomes very critical when you start to talk about larger scale operations, especially when you look at the things you could do to help sort of build different types of strategy in this, not just a simple sort of pipeline of, contacted once, twice, or three, or four, same day consult schedule. We could also even start to even bank this, so we can start to look at. In this case, we have need a week to call back. We've got canceled no show one, canceled no show two. So you could build this out in any architecture you wanted to build your pipeline so that your front desk or people working this call center people could work these leads at intimate. But the key is, again, you've got all that consultation. We've got all of this dialogue being built. We've got all of the communication layers that are in the background that are happening, that are always tracked and always brought to the forefront. So think about that when you're making choices on platforms to manage your business. Make sure that you know where your money's going. Make sure you can manage your opportunities and make sure that you can communicate to them effectively through the tools you're using and make sure it's all kept under that customer's information. Again, just like anything else, all of this needs to be tracked and managed. And when it's centrally managed, you can see everything at a moment's notice. So if we click on the conversations tab, we can see all the messages that are happening in real time, literally as I speak to you. Here's a text message, here's an email, here's so someone can centrally monitor this. Or you can monitor it from your phone, or you can monitor it remotely from anywhere. And that's the key is that you have central management for lead flow, central management for understanding what you're spending, and then central management for, of course, the most important thing, which I think is the communication layers, because everybody talks in a different channel. You can see this whole channel minute by minute. Literally, you can see 813, 808, 807, 807. Every minute, there's a conversation going on. And of course, this is a little bit more busier of a practice because it's many locations, but there's a Facebook message, there's a text message, there's an email, there's phone calls. They're all being centrally managed and can be centrally uh, dispatched through this system. And I think that's the key to having a solid, rock solid strategy is to make sure you're using a tool and you're using a system and being instructed and taught how to use this as part of that. And that's, I think, one of the most key elements is that we've been successful at helping a lot of people get to understand these tools because it's a lot to understand. And you need someone who's been there and can train and help staff. And this is the biggest opportunity we see across the boards, is helping people utilize these systems. And there's so many variables of a theme here to fit this into the customization for each practice. So hope this helps you. This is something that I've always thought was very important about any of the opportunities within a business structure, is to have control and understand exactly where each penny goes and manage your systems.